Alright guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. And today we are finally getting on to the 89 Chevrolet Celebrity. So it's a little dark. I'm going to have to get a flashlight, a light put up already. Freaking time zone change, bullcrap changes. So anyway, so issues with the car here. We're going to go over it real quick. Okay, so when I got the car, it didn't run, didn't drive. Battery was spanked, it was dead. Charged it, and it's a top post. We're going to be switching it back to a side post. I'm also going to be replacing the battery because, well, he wants a new battery, and I don't blame him because this one's just a little, I don't know if it's the charging system, which I'm going to check, or if it's the battery itself that's just not staying charged, or it's just all this bull crap here with the wiring to the terminals and it's causing a draw to it or something. Anyway, so we're going to take care of that, put that back, and also there's no battery hold down, so I'm going to get one of those. The motor mounts are shot, the whole engine moves, so I'm going to replace the transmission mount that's right below the starter on this side, and I'm going to replace this guy and see how it does after that. I'm not going to touch the one at the very back of the transmission. That was a pain in the butt to replace, so I'm just going to leave that one alone. So I got it running and sort of driving, but there's not that much power. It falls on its face. It's misfiring on at least a couple cylinders or so. So off camera, the ignition coils down here, two of them were shot. They were cracked, and one of them was not even having any spark coming off of them. So I went ahead and replaced all three because there is three down here. You might as well. They're 40 each. So you got one for two cylinders. So I just went and replaced all three ignition coil packs. The ICM that's down here underneath the coils has already been replaced. Somebody's been in here before, but they didn't put the little grommet bushings that's supposed to go on the ICM before you put the coils on. So I put that on there. Those were missing. I also put some special adhesive to keep the coils from getting too hot. Anyway, so that fixed that issue. Still misfiring on one or two cylinders. I can't really narrow it down just yet. So I replaced the plugs and the wires. I just actually am in the middle of doing that now. All the plugs and the wires have been changed. I'm just trying to tidy up and organize how the wires go to the back of the motor and to the front and all that nice stuff. I got to keep it from touching the radiator fan. There's a badass power steering leak that's going to have to be addressed. I already bought the pump. I've already bought a lot of the parts for the car because the way the shortage is with COVID and all that bullcrap going around, well, it's hard to get parts and it takes time. So I went ahead and ordered everything while this one was sitting and not being touched yet. I bought a new belt. I bought a new pump. What else did I get? Motor mounts, plugs, wires, PCV valve, oil change, air filter, all that good stuff. I even went and got brand new tires for it because the tires for it are shot. These are old, they're dry cracked, and they're used. The ones on the back are good. They're like brand new, and I'm going to keep those, but I'm going to put the new ones on that I went and bought from Walmart. They were like on sale for $25 each. They're Douglas all-season tires. A lot of people don't like them. I love them. I've never had a problem with them. In fact, my car actually has those on it, and there's nothing problem with them. They are 195 75 14. This actually came with 185 75 14, so it's going to be a little bit taller and a little bit different, but at least it'll match because what's on it now is 185 65 14 and 195 70 14. So that's a big difference there that I don't like. It messes up everything on a vehicle. I gotta replace the radiator. Radiator's shot. It's leaking on that side where the You see it right there where the top transmission metal line goes into. You see all the green stuff. So that's got to be replaced. That's on order now. Should be here tomorrow or in a couple days. I got to figure out why the torque converter lockup connector is unplugged down there. I'm going to have to clean that up, plug it up, and see what it does. I've got a feeling that it's probably just shot, and it goes in and out just like mine did, because this is the 3-speed automatic, not the 4-speed. And some of this stuff back here I got to fix. I replaced the vacuum lines. I need to I broke one that goes to the map sensor, so I got to fix that. Tidy up some of this wiring, like I said. Put everything back together, because this model, the map sensor is not over here anymore. It's actually right here. So anyway, I'm going to tidy that up, finish that up, and I also need to replace, here's the part number, where's it at? This is for the knock sensor connector. It's actually broke on the back. Down here, if I can get a light to stay where I want it, you can see the connector is actually broke right there. See the yellow, or not the yellow, but get this out of the way. You can see it's broke. That one right there. It's broke. It's not even making good contact, and it's got a naked wire. So I'm going to cut this, resplice a brand new connector for the knock sensor, and then we'll fix that issue. That could be another issue of running, because it's not making good contact to it. And let's see, what else did I get for this thing? Oh yeah, fuel filter. That thing has not been changed in who knows how long. That sucker is like ancient. It's probably been on here since factory. Yeah, there it is. I mean, you can look at the hoses and stuff. This thing's never been touched. And I do like how they changed these models to the clip-on style filter, where mine, you actually have a metal line that you have to screw into it. This one's all different, but you can see the tires are brand new. Brand freaking new. Good brand too, actually. HP Radial Track, made by Summit. So, alright, so let me take care of that real quick, and we'll come back and see how it runs after doing a full tune-up. Hope and praying that it ain't misfiring anymore. If it still is, then I've got a feeling it's probably fuel injectors that are shot. Alright, so I got the top dog bone out. Ratchet strapped the engine to pull it forward, because apparently on this model there ain't no room at all like there is on mine to get in here. You can see the difference. There's a lot more room on this one. My engine's pulled forward more than this one is over here. But anyway, I finally got that new connector and everything spliced together with a shrink wrap butt connector put together. Now I just got to take it and plug it in. The knock sensor's on the very back of the engine, close to the if not right below or above the crank sensor on these. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that back in. I did tug on it a little bit. It's tight, so it shouldn't have any issues. So that should fix one of the problems that it might have had with running and timing, because that does affect a lot of on these. Well, this is not good. So I got a mirror in here because I couldn't plug in the daggum connector, and I got to wondering, why is it turning in my hand? The little nipple that you see sticking out that's cockeyed, yeah, it's broke. So that means it's going to need another knock sensor. Great. That's going to be pleasant to replace. Awesome. I mean, if I had it jacked up already, that'd be easier than from up here, but you know, I'm not doing that, and yeah, that's great. So that whole black piece that you see turns in my hand, and by the looks of it, it's cockeyed. It ain't supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be straight. not bent like a 90 looking degree, which is the reason why the connector right here won't plug into the middle of that right there. Looks like there's still pieces stuck into it too. Awesome. So there's more issues and more why it doesn't run right. Great. So I'm gonna look up, see if I can find another a knock sensor for it. And the crank sensor doesn't look too good either. Let me go ahead and show you that. It's full of oil, so I got a feeling that's probably going to go out eventually. Yeah, it's right there. It's actually right above it. There's the connector. It's soaked in oil, so yeah, that's definitely broke. That should not be bent like that. Oh yeah. Awesome. Alright, got it out. You can see what I was talking about. It's completely broke. You can actually move it back and forth, which you're not supposed to be able to do. Factory. And here's the new one. I think it was like 26 bucks, which is really cheap. I might, yeah, see, this one does not move like it's supposed to. I might replace the one in the Celeb, mine, just because that car there does not tell me anything that goes wrong with it at all. You can unplug any sensor on that car and it will not pop on a check engine light saying, hey, this sensor's bad, or it's unplugged, or there's some malfunction with it. However, yesterday I fired this car up after doing the tune-up, and with this sensor unplugged, it ran, and you could rev it up and everything, but the check engine light came on, and I have a feeling it's because of this guy. But I'm going to put this back together, put this on. There's no coolant, no oil in this, so that's awesome. Unlike the S10 that I'd done, where I removed both of them, and one of them had, I think both of them had coolant, or one of them did and one of them didn't, something like that. But that's something to look out for when you're changing one of these guys on certain vehicles. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this back in, and I believe the size was a 7/8 Craftsman. That's what I'm using. Pretty much can't see anything. You pretty much have to feel and knock it back out. Put it back together. Alright. So it's installed. It's plugged together. Or plugged up. Let's see if the battery's dead. And let's see if it runs and if it misfires. If it still misfires, I got a feeling it's probably more likely injectors. That's the only thing left. I really don't think there's anything mechanically wrong with the engine itself, because when you rev it up, the misfire kind of smooths out. When it comes back down to an idle, or when you put it in gear, that's when you start hearing it going tut 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 real bad. So yeah, I really don't think it's mechanical, like piston rings or a valve sticking or something. I really think it's got to be the injectors. Very common on these. Still have a whole lot more to replace, but I want to fix the mechanical problem of the car first before I start putting a pump and a belt and a tensioner and a bunch of other parts on it. And still misfiring. Yep. Shaking like a son of a gun too. So that belt's not happy. Picture's not happy either. Have a tensioner put on it. Alright, figure out what else is plugged in. it in gear. Oh yeah. You give it a little gas. See, it smooths out right there. Let off of it some. There goes the misfire again. Yep. Interesting. I would give it the old Italian tune-up, but I've actually already tried that, which means taking it down the road, of course, letting it get up to temperature, taking it down the road and just giving it all she's got. I mean, all the beans, all the power she's got to the floor. See if it flushes that mess out, you know, gets the injector to spray again, whatever the issue is, clear it out. However, that does not happen. It falls on its face. It'll go through kind of like first to second, and then as it's about to hit or get up in real high RPM to hit third, it like cuts out, like I let off the gas or like I cut the car off. And you try to do this with the pedal and it doesn't do anything at all. It's still running, but it won't go. And then all of a sudden, after you let it sit there for a minute, or if you put it back in neutral, wait a second, rev it up a little bit, and then it comes back, put it back in drive, and then you can go on. But it only does that when you get it, you know, like punch it to the floor. So either I'm losing fuel at the same time that I've got a misfire, and that's what's going on. I'm going to change the fuel filter because it's never been changed in who knows how long, but either it's because of that or the injector itself is just because it's not getting enough fuel and it's just falling on its face. But either way, I'm waiting on more parts to show up, so we're still not done with this. I want to pull the whole intake off. I'm not going to show that process necessarily because I've done this so many times. I just want to get in here and tear it apart and fix it. It's really easy. You take off the 5 bolts right here on the intake. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 right here. And then there is the same on the back, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, there's 4. And then you got the 3 bolts right here for the EGR valve. Then you got 2 bolts for the throttle body. And then, of course, the intake hose and all that stuff. And then you got a bunch of stuff back here that you got to undo. The map sensor, if your map sensor's on the intake like this one's at, you got to remove that. And the booster hose, all that good stuff. And these vacuum lines. These right here you got to be extremely careful for. They will break. Now once you do that, the intake will just pop up and come off. You do have the PCV valve hose. It's on the back side too. I know the 3.1 connects underneath straight up on these, but the 2.8 I believe is just straight into the intake on the bottom side. Anyway, I'm going to quit talking about it. I'm going to tear it all apart and figure out which injector is not firing right, because I already have a brand new set sitting around, so I'll just throw it in there and see what happens. Alright, I don't know where I left off yet, but, well, whole engine's apart now. Intake's off, everything's taken apart. I've already put in the new injectors, or newer, because they're from the junkyard, but they're brand new. They wasn't in there too long because the car had just came in. Anyway, they're off of a 3.3 V6, but they're the same for the 2.8, the 3.1, the 3.3, but the 3.8 is different. And even the Ford Ranger, somebody told me that I know, it's a friend of mine, told me that the Ford Ranger, I think it was like 3.0 V6, has the same injectors. You can swap them out from those. But anyway, these are pretty much the stock brand as well. And they swapped out pretty easy. You had to remove the intake, of course. I went in and replaced the PCV valve with the hose that goes to the intake, because it just disintegrated in my hand. And it's the original GM brand hose. I mean, it's hard as a brick. PCV valve's clogged up. So I changed that. So that's changed. That's done. New injectors are in. They all ohm out to 12.0 ohms. So that's perfect. That's what they should be. The old ones, however, ohmed out really, really low. I know one of them was like 8.88 ohms or something around that number. They're actually right here. I set them exactly how they came out. So 2, 4, and 6, 1, 3, and 5. And yeah, so they're pretty corroded. I mean, not corroded, but filled up with full of junk. So I am very, very confident now that this is the issue of the misfire of the vehicle. So this one was the worst. I think it was like 8 something ohms. Alright, so I just done it. I have to do it off camera. I don't have no way to show you, but pretty much just put it on ohms like you see it. Turn it on. Make sure it shows that. You want to take it and you take the 2 terminals, you touch black on one side, red on the other. It doesn't matter which way you do it. And then you'll get the readings. But this one was 11, 11, 11, 11, 0, 5.4 ohms. And then this one, no, this one was 10. Yeah, 10, 11, 11, 11, and then 0.54 ohms, and then another 11.8. So they were pretty much kind of close, except for this one. This was the weakest, but they're already changed, so it doesn't matter. I'm not going to do just 1 or 2. With the age of the car, the mileage, and how very, very common these are for going out, I just went ahead and just done them all 6. You might as well, the time and you're going to take all this apart, you know, just to do 1 or 2, that's kind of ridiculous. So anyway, I'm going to put the whole intake and everything back together on the car, and I'll fire it up. I don't know if I'm going to show that on camera tonight. I may wait until tomorrow and do the rest of it, because it is cold, and I'm trying to get this done before too late. I'm going to clean the EGR valve out a little bit. It's dirty. The gasket on it looks like it's gone. There's not really a gasket left, so there's a vacuum leak there from the intake. I'll replace that and put everything back together, and then next time you'll see this, we'll fire it up and see what it does. Hopefully there's no more misfires, which I'm very confident it shouldn't be. Alright guys, what's up? It's been, well, a couple weeks now, at least, I want to say, if not more. Well, between other stuff I'm working on and weather-wise, I mean, the weather's been nuts. Right now, I'm in, you know, was wearing a jacket, pants, and gloves, and then went to nothing but short sleeves and shorts. Like, it just, you can't, it doesn't make up its mind. But anyway, between all that stuff, here's the car. As you can tell, it's already back together. But the misfire is still there. I'm going to fire it up and show you everything. And I'm going to go over just quickly, real fast, of everything that's been done, so you just kind of have an idea of what has been done and what I did. So, when I got the vehicle, it didn't run. The battery was spanked. Charged it up. Got it to run. Didn't run great. The fuel pump didn't sound too good. So I changed the fuel filter, and that still didn't help the misfire that it had. I don't believe it's a fuel issue, but anyway, I went ahead and replaced the ignition coils, because those ohmed out bad, and then I found out that they were cracked from the heat and stuff, because it's very common for those to go bad because of the exhaust manifold. So, all right. It's already had a new ICM, which is ignition control module, that sits underneath the coils. That's already been done. I didn't do that. Somebody else did. So somebody's already been in here trying to track down the misfire before whatever happened of why he was selling it. So I put in coils, plugs, wires. It's AC Delco spark plugs, which is what I use in every G-owned car that I've got. The other Celebrity, the other C10, my S10, everything. Pretty good plugs. Never had an issue out of them. Then coolant temperature sensor, because that's very common, and injectors, because the injectors were shot. Those ohmed out really bad. I found some at the junkyard that were brand new on another car. It was a 3.3 V6 out of a Buick. I put those in here, replaced the intake manifold gaskets, cleaned the throttle body, replaced the throttle body gasket, replaced the idle control valve because it threw a code for that guy. I thought that for some reason maybe it was a bad issue of throttle position sensor because it was having issues with throttle response. So I replaced that. That still didn't go away. I broke one of the vacuum lines back here, and I put a vacuum hose in between that, and then there's one on the intake that I broke, and I put vacuum hose in between that. That ain't got an issue of why it's leaking, because this was doing this before. However, all this work that I've done to the car has gotten better, but it's still misfiring, and it's only doing it at idle. You take it down the road, give it the beans to the floor, and I mean, like, this thing will take off as hard as it can, and it will go. Every time you come back to a stop, or as you're coasting to a stop, the engine's going, like, trying to cut out and die. And when it comes to a stop, the idle's pup, you know, the whole time. And I still can't figure out what the heck is going on. So, let's see here. The crank sensor's been done. The knock sensor's been replaced, and the knock sensor connector. Also changed the PCV valve and the hose that goes underneath the intake, because those were both shot. I mean, the hose was so bad that I snapped it in two. I mean, that's how hard it was. But as you notice, I found out something. This guy I removed, and it's capped off. Now I'm going to show you why. And really quick, I'm still getting 3 codes. One is the oxygen sensor. It's throwing a lean code. It's still throwing the IAC valve code, and it's throwing a throwing something. I can't remember the last code, but anyway, the problem is vacuum has been suctioned right through the PCV valve vent side, and I mean so bad that I had to cap it off in order for the car to run smooth at idle. So that tells me there's a vacuum leak. All right, so I took brake cleaner and I sprayed around the whole intake, upper and everything, running the throttle body shaft, EGR valve. I even replaced the EGR valve with another one, still the same issue. It doesn't stall out either when you push it in like it's supposed to. I sprayed around here, nothing happened, so I don't know what's going on. And there's no coolant loss, there's no oil loss. You can't see down in here, but between where the down to the lower part of the head and everything on the block, there's no oil or nothing coming out like there's a vacuum leak, you know, or an oil leak. There is a slight oil leak on this side, but that is from the distributor dummy that I'm gonna have to replace eventually. The little O-ring has went bad. Very common on the 2.8s and 3.1s. I put some gas in it. It was really low. I don't want to ruin the pump. Every time the pump comes on, it just don't sound good. And I hate that freaking sound. See, it fires right up. And it's running smooth. It's like it's supposed to. But that's because the vacuum part is capped off. If I unplug that, then it starts misfiring. No misfire. It's all gone. Smooth as a kitten, besides the serpentine belt and power steering pump and the tensioner that's bad. Because I still got to replace those 3 items. I lost the wing nut, but see, it stalls it now like it's supposed to. Watch this. I mean, it's taking some force to pull this out. That's a lot of suction. And then the misfire's back. See? So definitely there's something wrong. I don't know if the hose that I replaced or something to do with the PCV valve I installed is bad, or if it's just the lower intake manifold that's shot. Let that run like that and it'll smooth back out like it was. See? Burn like a kitten. So the next thing is, I guess I'm going to pull the intake off, check that PCV valve, or if I can get my hands back here, swap it out for another one real quick. It was like $3. I could have bought a defective one. And make sure that's not what the issue is. And if it's not, well, there'll be a part 2 of this, because this is going to be part 1. I'm cutting this off here. The video is going to be long enough. I don't want to bore y'all, and it's a lot to upload when a video is 20 minutes plus long. I'm trying to edit it and do all that stuff. So, if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the bottom. I'll try my best to get to them. Any advice, anything you think of, it could be. I know it's nothing to do with coils, wires, and nothing like that, because as you can tell, I capped it off and it's running smooth now. So there's definitely a vacuum leak, and the only other thing I can think of is PCV valve or the lower intake manifold. Something else is causing a severe, massive vacuum on the crankcase. Have any questions? Like I said, leave them in the bottom, comments, whatever. Like it, if you like it, give it a big thumbs up, appreciate it. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I make couch repair videos and a lot more other content on the channel. And stay tuned for part 2 of fixing the misfire on the '89 Chevrolet Celebrity. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more content like this. Have a great day or night. I will catch you in the next one. Thanks.